stage, and it's like, they removed a piece of Joe's brain.
They did.
And you know it's Steph for Joe. And you know who it is? It's Steph for Joe.
And you know who's taking care of that, don't you? I spoke to, they hired that guy Smokey.
Yeah.
The big Indian guy that got Belushi off of, tried to get Belushi off of coke.
Yeah.
Smokey, was on tour with Joe, and Smokey's job to make sure Joe stays sober.
Really? Well, I think Joe is going to stay sober because he doesn't want to give up that Eagles reunion.
But, do you think that after they get done with their whole tour and the record and everything, and then the Eagles are done, do you think Joe will stay sober?
No. Absolutely not. I think the day the tour is over, Joe goes to a bar and has a drink.
When Glenn Fry went into the hospital and they had a little layoff.
Right.
I was worried then.
No, Joe can control it.
Yeah.
But it's like to me, Joe was the most interesting member of the Eagles because the other guys are real boring. Timothy B. Schmidt.
But did you notice something really weird when you watch that thing? Joe no longer, I hate to say this, Joe no longer looks happy. Remember Joe used to be the happiest guy to play guitar, wheeling around. Now Joe's just, you're right, he's just sitting on that chair.
And they've got him under real control. Like when, during Hotel California, he just plays exactly when he's supposed to play, doesn't move forward, nothing.
I hear he's not allowed to hang out with Rick, the bass player, anymore.
Really?
Yeah, because Rick wouldn't go in AA, apparently. That's what I know.
Well, whatever.
All I know
That's just a rumor.
is that Joe looks better than I've seen him in years.
He does. His new hair looks good. He dyed it blonde, and he's got like a buzz cut.
In fact, when I see pictures of the Eagles, I really have to look for Joe because I don't recognize
And he
him.
fits in with the rest of them, and he behaves. Stepford Joe, like the Stepford wives.
The other thing about Joe was he was always causing dissension in the band.
Right,
He
not
had
anymore.
everybody at each other's throats.
They did something to him. I'm telling you, they took him to Disneyland and emptied out his head and put in Abe Lincoln's brain or something.
But I'll bet you Joe is going to make enough money off of this tour to take him through the second half of his life.
Oh yeah.
And he can do whatever he wants again.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's big money to be made there, and that's enough to sober you up.
It looks like $100 a ticket.
Yeah, but you know what? Joe has money. It wasn't the problem. I think it was also like he just wanted to be back in the real limelight again.
I'm telling you, when you go to see the show, it's Joe's songs that get everyone going nuts.
I know.
Rocky Mountain Way and Life's Been Good. People love that stuff.
I know.
Just, nobody was going to see Joe do it.
Yeah, because everyone's seen Joe do it. They want to go see the Eagles do it.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds the same.
Yeah, those are Joe's songs. There's a solo song.
Right. And who's that dude in the Eagles? Is that Timothy B. Schmidt, the guy with the giant long hair?
Yeah.
Who looks like an Indian?
Yeah.
Timothy B. Schmidt.
Timothy B. Schmidt. The other guys are all they just stand there. They stand like wooden Indians, and they got Joe under control. He's not even allowed to bounce around the stage. Because if Joe was high, he would just be crashing into those guys and.
Right, he'd be all over the stage.
How you doing?
How you doing?
Do you remember when?
How are you doing?
Yeah. Hi, how are you, Joe Walsh?
How are you doing?
Don't you remember when Joe was like completely out of his mind on our Fox pilot? He was playing the trombone and running around like kicking over everyone's
The trombone,
instruments.
he passed out on the back of the
He was sleeping in the
stage.
stairwell, right?
Yeah, he kind of went to sleep during my show and was just sleeping in the stairwell. He was a piss.
Don't you remember he fell asleep beside your desk?
Yeah.
How you doing? How you doing?
I mean, I'm happy if Joe's happy, but he is Stepford Joe now. And he doesn't even call in anymore.
No, last time he came to town, because you know what? They put him to bed early, and they don't want him getting up too early. The more he sleeps, the less he can drink.
It's like having a new baby. Gotta put Joe to bed.
Just a minute, how old is Joe Walsh and he's got a babysitter?
I don't know. But that's pretty cool.
How you doing? How are you doing?
Hey, Joe.
Somewhere out on that horizon. What you doing inside? How you doing?
Stepford Joe.
President ordered the keys back.
And we're never going to get to speak to him while he's with us.
Yeah, I want to.
Here.
How you doing?
It'd be good to have tape of him like this so that when he goes back to the old Joe, we could play it for him.
How about when Joe would say, how's your penis?
How's your penis?
And he's always running for president.
I always call his
No,
ex-wife.
vice president.
For me.
I always call his ex-wife plaintiff.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? Plaintiff.
My ex-wife plaintiff.
My ex-wife plaintiff.
Same joke over and over again.
I went to the Eagles show when they played Giant Stadium, and his manager said, hey, if you get tickets, come on by. And we went backstage, and Joe wasn't seeing anybody.
Right.
Now, when was that?
This is in June.
I was going to say, he never did anything like that before.
Oh, please, come on in. We're having a party.
And the Eagles, they've made him such a robot and everything. Like everything, even the songs all sound like right from the album. They don't do anything. They don't.
Remember when you went to play with Joe?
Yeah.
And I mean, he was full of tricks. He had your amp turned down.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he turned my amp up.
Oh, he turned it all the way up. That was
Bastard.
what he did.
Yeah.
And you were playing louder than anybody?
He heard me complain that I went on stage with Leslie West and Leslie turned off my amp. So he goes, "Don't worry, I won't do that. I'll make sure you're hurt." And he made mine louder than anyone. And everyone heard that I couldn't play.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I don't care what they did to Joe. I will never forget the man at the Plaza Hotel with like these groupies at
I don't
8
care
o'clock
what
in the
they did to
morning.
Joe. Yeah.
Remember one morning, Joe called I got some women over there and you sent me over. They were all like drinking and they had groupies and they had like 8 rooms
Yeah.
and they'd been up all night. They had like instruments set up in all the rooms, playing guitar, drinking.
That's the Joe I know.
Having a-
Oh, what a life.
One time on the Fox show, we booked him, and his management office called and said, where can we find Joe? And I said, oh, he's at the Plaza Hotel. And she goes, oh my, you didn't put him at the Plaza. And I'm like, why? She's like, that might not have been a good idea.
Like you're supposed to know that.
That's his manager.
Yeah.
When I showed up at his house to write a song with him, I showed up like 11 in the morning, and he was still sleeping. He got up, poured himself a glass of OJ, and goes, "Where's the vodka?"
What the sad thing was, when he worked here, well, forget it.
All right, it's enough. It's enough.
Yeah, enough reminiscing about
Right.
the old Joe.
There's a new Joe out there somewhere.
There's a
That,
new Joe in town.
right, there's a new Joe in town, and he's feeling good. How you doing?
Once you get out of rehab, they tell you have to like avoid all your old friends.
Yeah.
That remind you of how much fun it was to be drunk. Maybe that's why he hasn't come here.
Life's been good to me so far. I have imagined how you doing? I never been there to tell me it's nice. How you doing?
It's just like having Joe in the room.
How you doing?
Well, what happened when he was touring with Ringo? Was he a good boy then?
No, I don't think so.
Probably not. He didn't look like he was.
He looked like the old Joe. But Stepford Joe is a whole new Joe. I haven't gotten to experience Stepford Joe.
Wasn't that when he got into all the trouble because Don Henley didn't like him doing
Yeah.
one of his songs?
Yeah, well, Don Henley was basically saying, "Hey, Joe," he put down his foot. He said, "Joe, you want to be in the Eagles reunion?" And you know what? Joe is the most exciting guy in the Eagles. You can't have an Eagles reunion without Joe. I don't care.
Let me tell you something about Joe on tour with Ringo. I ran into him. I was on my honeymoon. I ran into Joe at the Rome airport, and I probably met Joe 50 times. I walked right up to him. He did not recognize me. He did not recognize me.
Right.
I go, Joe, and then he sort of recognized me. There's an example of Joe that we used to love.
All right. Here's Joe. The old Joe. For those who miss old Joe.
Okay.
No, that there was I don't know, I'm an old hippie, so I used the word 5. I thought there was a strange 5 too, but I guarantee nothing happened. Just because you walk around with a tutu and swim fins on, it's none of my business.
No, wait a second, Joe, because you know how much we care about you.
Okay, Howard,
Yeah.
I did say that I thought, because you say what you choose sometimes on the radio.
Right. Right.
Right, what?
And blah, blah, blah.
Joe, throw a verb in there.
Every once in a while, yeah, break it up.
Thanks for the tip.
No, but Joe,
I
seriously.
did say that because you were so picked out by them, And I do, again, apologize.
That's vintage Joe.
I'm
That's
getting
Joe.
drunk just listening.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh boy, those Eagles got him under control. It's Stepford Joe. Joe stands in all the Eagles stand in one straight line when they perform. It's like a military operation. And Joe doesn't move.
Don Henley always looks mad.
Yeah, it's like angry.
That is the most miserable guy on earth.
He's angry to be up
The
there.
more records he sells, the more miserable he
Yeah,
gets.
stop buying his records, we'll get happy.
Life has not been good to him.
No. Joe, has life been good to you?
I don't give it hurts or this. Choo-choo. Yeah. It's been good to me so far. you doing? How you doing?
Great. Okay. Well, I miss Joe.
Yeah, I miss him too.
See, this is when people would say you're non-supportive. Because it's not right to say you like Joe better drunk.
Well, as a radio host that needs good guests, I would say Joe drunk is better than.
I think a sober Joe would be a fine guest.
Yeah, great. I wrote this song in 1965.
But you used to tell Sam that all the time, and he even agreed with you. That you
One
like
time Sam came in and he was totally sober. He'd been sober for a couple of weeks. And I said to him, it's just not the same. It's better when you're drunk. And he went right out and cut loaded.
Well, what happened? He called in on the phone and said, "I'm going to be there at 8 o'clock," and it was like another Sam.
Yeah, it was like
he was responsible. He was on time.
I don't want the responsible Sam at 8 o'clock.
And you just happened to mention that you liked him better when he was so out of control.
Yeah.
And he went out and started drinking that night.
Yeah. This is, I'm drunk.
I did it for you, man.
Yeah, I bet he did. Funny. Well.
Worst thing was trying to find an open liquor store at 8 in the morning.
Oh, yeah. That's not an easy task.
Sam will give you $100 and ask for like an expensive bottle of champagne. You can never find it anywhere.
All right. Well, anyway. I don't know how I got on the Eagles, but I've been meaning to talk about Robo...
Step for Joe.
Step for Joe. Robo Joe. Yeah. It was like Robo